Hello and welcome back to Rain Check. We will be continuing where we left off in Javier's route. So, first things first, this is the ending for Javier's bad route. How do I know it's the bad route? Because it says so in the devlog for Rain Check, for this specific build. Another thing is that there's actually a side story added for Javier. Let me see if it shows up on here. Archive... Yes, Javier. I'm assuming this is the case. While helping dust out, Javier finds a memento from his first investigation. So, yeah. Expect me to read that one after this. Not immediately after this. It's going to be a separate video. Well, actually, it depends on how long it is. So, yeah. So what you're going to see is Javier's bad route ending. Just so you know, okay? Because I know some of you don't listen. And if you ask, oh my god, is it over? Oh my god, this has happened. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Oh my god. It's because it's the bad route. And it's the ending of the bad route. Okay? Whether or not the next few updates are going to be Javier's good route or Rose's good or bad route, I don't know. We'll see that eventually, okay? Okay? Now then, if you recall in the previous videos, we saw Theodore with Monty trying to investigate by himself, but things weren't going that well. He tried to ask Javier for help, but after Javier talking to the wolf dude, I forget his name, he kind of had... He felt that it was his responsibility to stick to the original case that they were handed to and not really delve into anything, that Theodore was presenting him, even though it felt maybe compelling. That causes Theodore to go like, well, screw you, you don't want to help Ro, you don't care about Ro, you don't care about what's going on, and then he storms out and then goes and tries to investigate himself by asking the dear boy, I forget his name, I think it's David, for help. And initially, it all works out. He's helping him see through some surveillance that his company developed. The only things that were recorded, which is the snow leopard running away and then just sort of running off camera, and then there's nothing more to that. And then David, I believe that's his name, asks, like, oh, so who is this person? Is it like, oh, it's a bad guy? It's like, oh, it's a bad guy for what? Or like something like that. And then Theodore ends up spilling the beans about who he's related to. And then all of a sudden, the dear boy has a change of heart where he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to need you to get out. Okay, bye. And that sort of leaves Theodore and Monty sort of like, what? And then eventually, as Theodore and Monty are investigating, or no, they're thinking about stuff downstairs in the lobby, Monty ends up having what is probably a heart attack. Ends up having to be rushed to the hospital, and apparently he is very bad, which, it was obvious that it was going to happen because they were already telling him that he had to get some more studies because he already has a heart condition, in considering the fact that he was electrified in order to be revived. It was bound to happen. And, yeah, so poor Theodore doesn't really know what's going to happen. Anyways, so we're going to pick up from there, and, without further ado, let us continue. Lawrence? What the hell is he doing here? Out of everyone, he's definitely the last person that I would have imagined to visit. I rechecked the spy hole, this time spotting Lawrence's distinct shirt in the frame. The one and only. Now, if you don't mind opening the door, it's a bit stale out here. I opened the door just enough to get a good look at the wolf. Lawrence? What are you doing here? How did you even find me? There's obvious shock in my voice, which Lawrence picks up on and dismisses with a wave of his paw. Don't worry about small details like that. I came looking for you because I'm worried about you. I nod slowly, trying to figure out Lawrence's intent for being here. Worried? What do you mean? How are you feeling, Theodore? Uh, okay. I stare at the wolf scrupulously before he shakes his head and sighs. I don't know what you have heard about me from the others, but I'm genuinely worried about you. Working at ARC is a never-ending task, and I've been busy up until now. Visiting you was my first priority. I was wondering if you wanted to have a small chat. Right. Pressing matters? What the heck is he talking about? My mind races, awkwardly trying to think of a particular reason Lawrence could be here, but coming up short. Maybe he's telling the truth? I should give him the benefit of the doubt. He was the one to save Ro after all. Guess not, judging by your face. I take it you don't want me around. I'll be taking my leave. Wait, Lawrence. Come in. I'm sorry. Today's been really messed up. You don't need to explain. You must be going through a lot, trying to search down the snow leopard and all. Yeah, it's been a mess. I let the wolf in, and he strolls straight to the window before sitting himself down. He motions to the sky, shaking his head disappointingly. How are you holding up? I'm sure you're exhausted. I let out a sigh, unsure of how to explain myself best. I am. I don't blame you. You've had a long day. I heard what happened from Javier. The two of you had some sort of dispute? Yeah. He told me you wanted to figure out what happened to Ro, track down who was responsible for the shooting. Am I correct? Yeah. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can figure it out on my own. I thought that I could, but I was just being stupid. Elaborate. The snow leopard. I was trying to track them down. It just doesn't make any sense. And who was driving that car? How could they just blindly fire at us like that? Was this all just a coincidence? Ah, yes, that night. I nod, trying my best to repress the memory as best as I can. I understand. It must have been an extremely traumatic experience. It's best that you forget all about it. As that's also why I'm here. What do you mean? Theodore. His tone is serious but firm as he stares directly at me. Do you want to go home? I tilt my head, failing to understand his sudden question. What do you mean? What I mean is, I'll handle everything else from here. There's no need to put yourself at risk. Meaning? I understand your dilemma. Why don't I help you? I'll find the shooter responsible and wrap up this case once and for all. I furrow my brows in confusion, a sense of skepticism brewing as I remember it was Lawrence who told Javier to switch tasks. But I thought you guys were trying to track down the survivor. Didn't you tell Javier to focus on doing that? That's the reason why he was so dead set on finding the survivor, right? Initially, we had no leads on the survivor's whereabouts. But yes, you are correct. Once they were tracked down, I reassigned the task of locating them to Javier. It was my idea to swap tasks with the fox, since it would be more convenient for all of us. That's weird. Did Javier mention this earlier? Theodore, how old are you? 20? 21? Huh? I'm 23. Why? You're in your prime. You should enjoy it and not be stuck with these bureaucratic and esoteric investigations. Would I wish to have your free time again? Listen, Theodore. The reason I inquire is due to the protest schedule for tomorrow. It will obstruct major sections of the city, including the airport. It'll be virtually impossible for you to go home in your current situation. Wait, what? Protests? What are they protesting? And who? Is this related to the elections that are happening? Did something happen? In short, yes. The very same one with Castleton. I'm sure you've heard of or seen some form of his influence since you arrived. The general public isn't very content with the fact that he's trying to run again. But those are the same people that fail to realize Castleton's been the main driving force in creating revenue for the city. It's quite ironic, wouldn't you agree? Yeah, I guess. But then can't I just take the next flight after that? He leans in closer and extends out his phone to me. You would think so, but rather than explaining, why don't you see for yourself? According to insider information I've received, there will be a boycott at the airport for a week starting tomorrow morning. He passes his phone to me and I study the screen carefully. It's a group chat that appears to include government officials, all discussing an upcoming boycott. Tomorrow at 7, we'll start the protests at the government sectors, and then we'll all do a walkout. We'll storm the downtown core later in the afternoon and make our way to the city hall. There's more discussions that I scroll past, and that's when I realize just how long the chat history is. Whoa, they've been planning this for months now. The chat history is so long. How'd you manage to get added to this group chat? Connections, Theodore. Connections. It's not just the airport, mind you. Dozens of government-funded sectors will be participating with the widespread boycotts and protests due to Castleton. Missing a flight is fine, but a whole week? Where would I even stay? Oh, what should I do then? If you want to go home, I can book you the last flight tonight, right before the city implodes on itself. My eyes suddenly widen at Lawrence's generous offer. Is this even the same wolf from earlier this week? What? What's the catch? There's no catch. We've only met for a short time, but consider it the act of a goodwill. I thank you. I don't know what to say. My mind suddenly goes back to Ro, and I feel my expression tighten. Why the long face? What's wrong? You don't look too happy about my offer. It's not that. If that's not it, then... If I had to take a guess, is this related to Ro? Am I correct? Yeah, if I leave tonight, then I won't be able to say goodbye to him. But of course, that is true. He did save your life. I suppose it's only normal for you to feel this way. It's okay, I guess, since I already said my goodbyes to him earlier, but still. Are you sure that there's no other way? He doesn't say anything, instead looking out the window towards the blackened night sky. Lawrence? Terrible weather we've been having, wouldn't you agree? Huh? I guess so. It's a shame, but that's how things go. Weather can be so unpredictable. Such is the nature of a chaotic system. He waits for me to respond, but I just stare back, not sure what to say. Are you familiar with chaos theory? Chaos theory? I think I've heard about it in passing, but I probably need a refresher. Why? Chaos theory studies systems that appear random but follow precise rules. These systems are extremely sensitive to initial conditions, often referred to as the butterfly effect. Small changes in the starting point can lead to vastly different outcomes. Despite seeming unpredictable, their behavior is determined by these initial conditions, making long-term predictions difficult. Just like the weather. Right. I think I get it, but why bring this up? I believe every decision we make has an impact, regardless of how big or small it may appear. All the decisions that we've made led us up to this point. Right now, tensions are high in the city. You feel it too, don't you? The weather, the riots, the civil unrest, the gangs. Something catastrophic is about to happen, and I'd rather not have you caught in the middle of it all. One wrong move and, well, who knows? He shrugs and chuckles before recomposing himself. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You need to leave as soon as possible. Thus, I am sure that you don't need me to tell you this, but... It's dangerous here, Theodore. There's that word again, dangerous. Ever since I've gotten involved, I've heard that word being thrown at me left and right. Maybe it's finally time that I listen. I know. Yeah, I understand. You're right. Glad that you hear a reason. Honestly, I feel sorry for all the other convention goers that are here. They won't know the hell that's about to happen. So, what exactly is going to happen? Why is it going to be catastrophic? Take my word for it, Theodore. Given the certain circumstances, this is more than just a hunch. Lawrence takes back his phone and taps a couple of buttons before nodding at me. Regardless, which one is your flight? The wolf shows me tomorrow's flight schedule, in which I point out mine in the middle of them all. He continues to tap a few more buttons before pocketing his phone. All set. You're booked for the last flight tonight. Just like that? But what about the flight that I booked? You won't need it anymore. Lawrence strokes his chin and then frowns. But I assume you'll lack any means of transportation to the airport? Yeah, I don't. I suspected as much. Fortunately, I had anticipated this and arranged for the limo to be here. That is to say, I can have you sent to the airport, should you desire. Are you sure? You've already done so much for me. I am sure. Think nothing of it. Then, that would be perfect. Thank you. I don't know what to say. He chuckles and claps his paws together. Your flight will be in the next 5 hours, but I suggest we leave now, unless you have something to take care of. No. There's nothing left for me to do. I think I've done enough. Perfect. Pack up your belongings. I'll inform my chauffeur that we'll be down momentarily. Has Lawrence always been like this? Maybe he acts differently when he's alone versus when he's around Ro? It does feel a bit fishy, but I can't seem to figure out what ulterior motives he would have for warning me and helping me go home. Maybe he already is being genuine? I walk over and grab my suitcase and bag. All set. Most of my stuff is already packed. Splendid. Let's be on our way then. I check out the hotel. Then we make our way down to the driveway in silence, with Lawrence leading us to a long black limo idling at the curb. After you. He walks over, opening the door for me, signaling me to step inside as he takes my things and heads to the trunk. I nervously inch myself inside, trying not to step on any of the fancy leather. Feel free to make yourself comfortable. Sure. I've never been in something like this before. He sits behind the driver's seat, positioning himself directly at me. The limo starts to move, but I can barely see anything through the tinted windows. The ride is quiet, with the grave wolf occasionally bouncing his attention between me and the phone in his lap. A sigh escapes me as I realize that I'll be heading back to my normal life. This is happening, huh? What's the matter, Theodore? Why the tears? I look up at Lawrence, and that's when I feel a sense of wetness on my cheeks. I let out an awkward laugh, surprised that I'm actually tearing up. It's nothing, I swear. It just feels strange to be leaving like this, with how things ended up. I understand how you feel, but it's for the best. You wouldn't want to be trapped here for another week, do you? Especially when things are about to get chaotic. I'm getting the sense that Lawrence doesn't know how to handle situations like this with grace. I nod in agreement, although it's not like I have much of a choice at this point. This whole vacation was a mess. Maybe it's a good thing that Lawrence showed up when he did. The car eventually stops after what felt like a long, drawn-out, silent 30 minutes. We're here, finally at last. We both exit and I see Lawrence's chauffeur, a small white tiger, slowly unloading my belongings. They notice me staring and give me a devious smile before returning inside. Here, take this. He extends a small black plastic card, which I carefully examine. Looks like some kind of membership club with the airlines. Show this when you check in. You'll have no issue getting back home, especially when you're in first class. First class? Lawrence, you honestly didn't have to. How much do they even cost? I don't have that kind of money to repay you. Nonsense. You don't owe me a thing. I told you before, I'm doing this because I want to. The price isn't the issue here. It's just to ensure as long as you have a safe and comfortable flight back, and first class was the only available spot left. But I digress. Thank you. I'm speechless right now. Despite what I thought of Lawrence, he isn't that bad of a guy after all. Really? Though he wasn't like this before. I wonder what caused a sudden change of heart. Lawrence, if you don't mind me asking, when you talked with Javier earlier, what did you guys talk about specifically when you were over? Nothing interesting. Debriefing and reconnecting on the investigation. You know how these things go by now. Right. So, how did you know that I was trying to look for the snow leopard then? Ah, yes. Javier told me about that afterwards, hence why I came looking for you. I nod, a frown slowly forming again. Right. But didn't Javier mention his phone was broken, or something? We both turn around to see Lawrence's chauffeur waving him over. I'd love to stay and chat, but as you know, airports demand promptness. I really must be going now. I can't afford to idle here for too long, even at this late hour. Safe travels, Theodore. It was a pleasure meeting you. The wolf gives me a light pat on the shoulder before slipping back inside the car. I watch as a sleek black limo glides away, vanishing down the road. Slowly, I turn around to face the familiar airport where I had arrived just a week ago. Well... I let out a sigh, feeling a whirlwind of emotions, but I managed to maintain my composure. I guess it's time to go home. Day 7. Of all the places a survivor could be, it had to be the cliffs. One look at this miserable place and it's clear why no one lives here anymore. I can see the shoreline not too far from where I am. Several of the apartments built along here have collapsed and crumbled into the ocean. It's more surprising that anyone still lives here. Being here in person, I guess the rumors were true. How unfortunate. This fog certainly doesn't help add to the creepy atmosphere here either. I continue to tread down the dark, barren streets carefully, only stopping when I spot a particular landmark through the dense fog. Thankfully, the place I'm scouting is far enough from the shore, so everything should be stable. The faster that I wrap up this case, the faster that I can visit Row. Looks like I'm here. Grabbing the photo in my pocket, I compare it to the building in front of me. It's hard to make out the details, but the silhouette matches almost perfectly. No doubt about it. Get in and get out. I don't want to stay here for too long. I don't know how many squatters and crackheads are around. I take out my phone and I had thankfully fixed and turn on the voice memo. I've just arrived at the cliffs. It's 6:04, and there doesn't appear to be any signs of people, which I was expecting. Making my way to the point of interest now. I turn around, my body at high alert at that sound. Instead of waiting for another sound, I dash across the street towards the apartment. Now that I'm closer, there are particularly dark stains splattered across the entrance, with one of the glass doors completely shattered. This doesn't bode well. I step closer, just enough to spot the resident listing barely hanging on in the entryway. All the names have been either crossed out or removed. All but one. HF 401. The inner entrance door has been bolted shut, with several rusted chains wrapping around the handles. Entrance is barred off. We'll find another way inside. I slowly make my way out and walk the perimeter of the building, searching for any potential way in. Paranoid, I check my bit flipper again. There's still no readings. In fact, this is the lowest amount of activity that I've ever measured. There's practically nothing happening around. I turn around and swear that I spot a large dark figure disappearing around a corner. Despite how quiet and abandoned this neighborhood is, there are definitely still people living here. I better pick up the pace. Quietly, I grab the taser from my pocket and continue walking, picking up speed as I turn the corner. Eventually, I make my way to the back of the building and spot a set of rusted doors propped up with a brick. How wonderful. I try to calm my nerves, but it's hard when Ro's not around in a place like this. Peering through the door, I aim my phone's flashlight inside, immediately cringing when I spot a long set of moldy stairs leading up to God knows where. Some sort of fire escape, huh? I bite the bullet, slowly traversing up the stairs, making sure to cover my nose along the way. I'm going to need to steam clean my entire body when I get back. The filth in here is revolting. Step by step, I trudge up the stairs, periodically stopping to catch my breath. After a few moments, I reach the 4th floor, immediately noticing the 4th floor hallway door seemingly broken and torn from its hinges. This is where HF is staying, the only person left in this apartment. I peek into the hallway. It's trashed and dark, except for a few patches of working lights illuminating the mess. You've got to be kidding me. Just as I decide to walk down the hall, I stop in my tracks as I spot a door at the back slowly opening. I take cover but notice a small old gray fox walking out with a cane, chuckling as she quickly hobbles over. Don't think that I don't see you there. I step out and nod at the old lady, still gripping tight to the taser in my paw. Oh my, what is a handsome young man doing in a place like this? I'm looking for someone. Not me, I take it, because I haven't had visitors in ages. Now that she's in front of me, she looks extremely out of place with the rest of the place here. She doesn't have any burn marks on her arms and looks nothing like the photo Lawrence gave me. Son, I think you got the wrong town. No one lives here except for me. No one at all? No one. Not even those apartments by the shore. Not the house by the plantation. She continues to drone on, listing what I can only assume are the places where people used to live nearby. And what about you then? What are you doing here, if I may ask? It's awfully quiet here, but that's what I like. She frowns and sighs. But I can't leave. I don't have anywhere else to go, so I stay here and look after Mittens. Mittens? Mittens. The fox doesn't elaborate. I can only assume that she's talking about some kind of pet. She gives an eerie smile too, wide for her face, causing me to recoil in disgust. But where are my manners? My name is Helen. Javier. Her face lights up like she remembers something and nods. What a lovely name. I used to know someone named Javier. Actually, there was someone that I saw the other day. Did they have burn marks on their arm? She tilts her head and ponders for a moment before nodding. Was it a burn mark? It could be. It was most certainly a scar. I nod, slowly trying to digest everything, holding myself back from asking her too much about her situation. She looks around and then motions me back to her place. Well, Javier, would you like to come inside? It'll be a much better place to talk than out here in the hall. Odd that she would notice me at the end of the hallway, step out and invite me on such short notice. But I guess living alone in a place like this warrants some company. Okay, if it's no bother to you. Nonsense. It's a bit messy though, so I hope you don't mind. We stroll down the hallway. That's when I notice the doors to the other units are either battered and torn down or barricaded and barred shut. Just what happened here? There is a pungent scent of chemicals that instantly hits me as I enter the door and move into the living room. It has a scent unlike anything that I've ever experienced before. Sorry about the scent. I had done some cleaning earlier. Mittens made such a mess. Please make yourself at home. I seat myself on an old tattered sofa and look around. Everything seems normal, which is strange when I think about how decayed the rest of the building is. There is a small old-fashioned TV in the corner covered in dust, the static masking whatever is playing underneath. I look back and see the old lady staring at me. Are you hungry? I have some biscuits in the fridge. I'm okay, thank you. What about some tea? That won't be necessary. I'm wondering if you could tell me more about the person that you saw yesterday. Ah, yes, the person. Odd-looking fella. They were scampering around outside. Don't tell me that this was the person that you were looking for. They are. Then I'm sad to say that they didn't stay here long. I saw them headed over to the... What was I supposed to say again? She scratches her head, murmuring something to herself as she blinks idly at me. Give me just a second, Sonny. I need to take a look at something. She limps over to the back, disappearing behind a large door. That was odd. Now that it's silent, a faint hum drones in the background, causing me to search for the noise. Reflexively, I grab tightly onto my taser, still concealed in my pocket, scanning the room until I spot the fridge in the kitchen, the source of the noise. I stare at the rumbling machine, noticing a piece of paper with red markings and scratches on it. I get up, walking over to examine the note. Make up lies, lead the fox on, distract him, payment will be made. Make up lies? Lead the fox on? Distract him? What is this supposed to mean? I'm about to take the photo of the paper when I hear a door slowly creak open. Expecting it to be the old lady, I jump when I see a pair of red eyes slowly form, watching me through the shadows behind a large black door. Ma'am? I stand there surprised, looking around the room waiting for the old lady to return. I'll be right there. I forgot to take my medication. Is there someone else staying with you? Oh, did you see Mittens? He's quite shy, but he means no harm. What the hell is Mittens? He's huge. Mittens? Mittens? My voice is quiet as I stare at the shadow, trying to get a better view of Mittens. That was not the response that I was expecting. Sensing that I might be in danger, my eyes dart between Mittens and the exit as I slowly back away. Ma'am, something came up and I'll be leaving now. I hear some unnatural shuffling in the back, causing me to hasten my steps. Leaving so soon? Just give me a second. I can give you some snacks before you leave. That won't be necessary, thank you. Just as I'm about to open the door, I spot another piece of paper with the same red scribbles lodged haphazardly in the knife rack. I look over and see the black door sliding open. A large barbaric feline glares me down. His fur is covered in stripes, scars, and stains, wearing nothing but some tattered shorts. Stay. He's definitely on something. You should listen to Mittens. He's very hard to control when he's angry. I turn to see the old lady next to Mittens, pointing some kind of object at me. I quickly snatch the paper and sprint out the door as fast as I can, sparing no time to look back at the freaks. I need to get out of here. I'm only a couple of steps out the door until there is a sudden jerk at my arm, causing me to stumble backwards and land on my back. Stay. Mittens attempts to pick me up, his large paw nearly missing me, but I managed to jab my taser at their shin at the last second. Grrr. The beast loses balance, thankfully falling to the ground. I scramble up and dash towards the stairs, practically leaping down the steps as I try to escape, only slowing when Mittens' stomps fade away. The fog is even denser now. I can barely see anything in front of me. Nearly out of breath, I push myself to sprint the rest of the way to my car, glancing back every second to see if I'm being followed. What the hell is wrong with these people? What the hell is going on? After what seems like an eternity of jogging, a surge of joy overwhelms me as I finally spot my car through the dense fog. I stumble and immediately lock the doors and stare at the paper in my paw, completely out of breath. Deal with him if he gets suspicious. I crumble it and toss it aside, confused and terrified. Fuck, I need answers. Lawrence, what the hell is going on? Out of breath, I fumble with my phone and call Lawrence. The proxy network connection goes through and I hear the line pick up. Lawrence? What the hell is going on? Who was the old lady and what are these notes? You know something about this, don't you? I panic as the line remains silent. Say something. I know you're there. The call disconnects, leaving me staring at my phone in confusion and anger. I try to call back, but the proxy refuses to establish a connection. What did that note say again? Something about dealing with the fox? Does this mean that we've been set up? I ponder at the ramifications and then suddenly my mind connects the dots. The speakeasy, Lawrence told us to go there, and that's where the shooting occurred. He's always mentioned about getting info from the boss directly, but I wasn't able to contact them. Not to mention the glaring inconsistency and his urgency for me to find the survivor here. Damn it, Lawrence! What are you planning? My paws struggle to dial the office as the pain from the altercation slowly catches up with me, but after some strained effort, I manage. The line rings for some time, but it eventually leads to voicemail. Shit, it's still too early for anyone to be at work. I need to get away. I'm not safe here. My heart sinks when I suddenly remember Theodore. I have to warn him, as there's no telling what the hell Lawrence has planned. I reach to dial Theodore's proxy contact but stop, remembering his phone was destroyed. Ay carajo! I need to warn him. I run my paws frantically across my body, trying to calm myself down as I start the car with trembling paws. As I drive off, I swear I catch a glimpse of the abomination lurking in the fog through the rearview mirror. Limping out of the elevator, my entire body is sore from the earlier scuffle. The pain finally catches up to me. Until I can clear my suspicions of Lawrence, it's best to stay away from him for now. I shake my head, trying to clear my mind from what happened earlier. Since it's still early in the morning, there's a high chance Theodore is still in his room sleeping. Spotting room 2708, I knock as firmly as I can with my sore arm. Theodore, are you there? This is Javier. You need to listen to me. I suspect something is up with Lawrence. He's been acting extremely suspicious and it's only... The door slowly swings open, revealing a barely awake beaver peeking out of the crack. Can I help you? Is this not Theodore's room? Theodore? There's no Theodore here, man. Confused, I double-check the room number before turning my attention back to the beaver. It's definitely the right room. Sorry, I must have the wrong room. They yawned loudly and shut the door, leaving me scratching my head. Did Theodore already check out? But that shouldn't be the case. His flight isn't until tomorrow morning. Unless something happened to him that caused him to check out early and leave. I need more information. Things aren't adding up. I waste no time walking back to the elevators. Maybe I can gain some insight by seeing when he checked out. It doesn't take long for me to extract the details from the front desk using some of the oldest tricks in the book. According to the staff, he checked out late last night, but was staying at room 6206. That wouldn't make any sense unless Theodore made a room change yesterday evening at the latest. Theodore must have had a good reason to change to a new room, but I can only speculate. Maybe he thought that he was in danger, or was being followed? But then why request a new room only to leave the same day? Unless something serious happened to him? I might learn something from checking out room 6206 myself. Or maybe I should go back and question that beaver. Where could you have went, Theodore? Huh? I fish out my phone. As if on cue, I see a new text from an unknown number. We have Theodore. Read, Salted Harbor. No funny business. 1 hour. Time is ticking. I scan around the room in a panic as my stomach drops as my mind races to process the best course of action. It's highly likely that whoever this is could be trying to lead me into some sort of trap. I could technically drive back and attempt to trace the call, but that's cutting it close on time. Especially if Theodore's actually in danger. This was the sort of thing that I had warned him about, if only he'd listened to me. But the thought of abandoning Rowan now Theodore fills me with overwhelming guilt. I shouldn't have been such a stickler. I try to reply back, asking for more information, but the message fails to deliver. What to do? What to do? Shit. I have no choice. For once, I decide to follow my gut, setting aside my usual reliance on logic and rules, and head for the harbor. I can't believe I'm putting my life at risk here. Theodore, you better be okay. Red Salted Harbor. This is where the chemical fire happened 2 years ago. Ironic that I would be here under these circumstances. I slowly pulled just outside the entrance, realizing I only have a few minutes left until the hour. I would have gotten here sooner if there wasn't a protest blocking the traffic. There's just enough time to prepare and scan the area with a bit flipper. Nothing. From the looks of it, the harbor appears inactive as the ports seem closed. Where is everyone? The clouds are gray and it looks like it's about to rain any minute now. I open the glove compartment and take out my emergency flare gun, dazzler, and taser, which I store inside my coat. The coast looks relatively clear, so I decide to turn back on my car and carefully drive inside the harbor. There's nobody in sight. In fact, there's not much here besides a few shipping containers, some warehouse buildings, and some construction cranes. It's quiet. Too quiet. Taking out my phone, I see another message from another unknown number. We see you. Drive inside Building 3. There is a small warehouse straight ahead off the distance, with the loading gates open. I shake my head at the absurdity of the situation. There's no way that I'm going inside there. I'm getting the hell out of here. There's no way that this isn't a trap. Ah! Sharp popping sounds pierce the air, followed by the crash of shattering glass behind me as I start to turn the car around. I duck, the sound of gunfire ringing out as I try to make sense of everything. The shots continue to ring out, and I do my best to take cover. There is a brief pause, and I take this opportunity to steal a glance behind, noticing the rear window completely blown out. Panic surges as I wrestle with the steering wheel, but it's locked, the car barely responding. Shit, tires are popped. I try to peer over my seat to identify the attacker, but the harbor is filled with too many potent hiding spots. I cower behind the wheel, weighing my options as precious seconds pass. Waiting out the onslaught seems impractical. I don't know how long they'll keep firing for. I need to take my chance with the car and just go. I stomp on the gas, feeling the car lunge forward as my head's still below and unable to see properly. The car shakes violently and struggles to accelerate as I try to steer it away from the approaching building, but it remains unresponsive. Shit! I fail to brake in time, and a sudden force sends me forward as the car collides with the wall. My body jolts forward into the wheel, but miraculously I avoid any injuries to myself. Disorientated, I struggle to turn off the car as I notice black, noxious fumes slowly pour in from the cracks on the dashboard. No, this is bad. I have no choice. I need to leave the car. I need to escape. There is a small alleyway just around the corner. I can probably run over if I'm fast enough. I need a distraction. I draw out the flare gun from my pocket, gripping it tightly as I realize that this is my only attempt. In a split-second decision, I burst open the door and fire the flare in the direction of the gunfire, hoping to distract whoever is pursuing me and sprinting towards the alleyway. I can feel my legs strain and ache after a few seconds, already feeling exhausted and worn out. I try to push through, but the pain becomes unbearable, causing my legs to lock up, my lower body refusing to cooperate. Shit! I fall flat forward, my legs cramping up, already spent from the earlier encounter, my strength fading fast. Desperately, I painfully crawl around the corner and hide behind a wall. As I lean back, a sharp piercing pain shoots through my right arm, and I notice a large gash, blood seeping into my fur. Each breath is a struggle as I try to calm myself, my arms shaking with pain and fear at the sight of my own blood. No. I look down at the blood seeping from my arm, following the trail with my eyes as I realize that it leads all the way from my car to where I'm hiding. The sudden realization hits me. My plan had been for nothing. I rummage through my pockets, and as a last resort, I call the police, praying that they can trace my location. I carefully dial the number and toss my now bloodied phone into a crevice, hoping it's enough to conceal it. I wince in pain as I press down on the injury, trying to slow the bleeding and give myself a chance to hide. Trying to conceal my shaking, I slowly crawl along the edge of the building, but my arms start to give out. Shit, I can't escape without leaving a trail. I need to hide. I glance ahead looking for an exit, but realize I'm trapped. The dock ends abruptly above the dark, churning water. Even though Ro taught me to swim, I'm not sure that I can stay afloat in my current condition. My options are grim. A few scattered shipping crates that offer some cover, but poor hiding spots, or a perilous plunge into the ocean. Desperation grips me as I hear my pursuers closing in. I muster every ounce of strength to stand, using the wall for support as I inch painfully across the building, slipping behind a crate. It's not long before I hear steps approaching around the corner. Well. The trail ends here. Why don't you come out, Javier? Let's have a little chat. That voice. It can't be. I know you're back here. You can't hide from Rudy. That bastard. I should have known all this time it was him. I can't peek to check, but he's almost definitely wearing those glasses now. I reach into my pocket and take out my bib flipper, frantically inputting commands with one paw. I only have one chance. Not behind that one, huh? Not this one either. Shit, he's getting closer. I can hear he's practically right behind me. There you are. I aim the bib flipper behind me, hoping to cause Lawrence's glasses to malfunction and seize up. What in the... I reach into my pocket and twist the limiter off the dazzler, tossing it over the crate as I shut my eyes. Gah! You wretched! I get up and attempt to tase Lawrence, only to realize he's further back than I had originally thought. Shit, I miscalculated. Thankfully, he should still be blinded. I've only got a few more moments before the... Ah! I yell out as a sharp pain courses through me, the force pushing me to the ground. Shit, I've been shot in the hip. Got him. Who's that voice? Another person? If only I could see from this angle. Good. Lawrence. What the hell is going on? Where's Theodore? I yell out, my voice echoing in the empty dock. Lawrence scoffs back at me, his figure just a shadowy silhouette from where I'm lying. Please, in here I thought you had it all figured out. His voice drips with sarcasm, sending a chill down my spine. I've never been working for ARC, not even for a second. As for the tiger, who knows? I have to commend you, Javier. I was hoping sending you to the cliffs would have thrown you off my tracks. But I guess that's your own fault for being so cunning, huh? I grit my teeth in anger, trying my best to manage the pain and my rising fury. What did you achieve from doing this? I don't need to tell you a thing. But since you're going to die, I might as well. Die? I panic, attempting to get up, but the pain in my hip is too debilitating. This is just protocol. You know too much. But I like to call it payback for ruining my meeting with Magnus. He's over here. Good shot. Don't tell me that you were the one to fire at Ro too. Me? No. It was thanks to my partner here, although I guess you can't see him with how pathetic you are lying on the ground. I hear someone else moving in the shadows, their presence a looming threat. Ro wasn't the main target. Blackout's chief intel officer was. Anyway, don't take this personally. It's just part of the job. Kairos, dispose of him. Thudding footsteps echo heavily behind me. Suddenly a powerful grip clamps down on my legs. No! Let go of me! Help! Someone please! His grip is unyielding, dragging me across the rough ground. Every movement sends sharp, intense pain through my short leg. I try to resist, to break free, but it's useless as all the strength of my body is spent. You can't do this! Lawrence, please! Yes, I can. Good night, Javier. I feel myself being pulled to the edge. The sound of waves crashing below grows louder. My heart races, fear gripping my chest as the realization sets in. No! No, please! Kairos remains silent, his presence a shadow looming over me. With the final ruthless heave, he throws me over the harbor's edge. I'm weightless, and then I plummet. The wind rushing past me, the ocean's roar deafening. The cold, turbulent water engulfs me, shock coursing through my body. I fight to stay afloat, but the pain in my leg and the weight of my clothes drag me under. The salt water burns my eyes and fills my mouth, making it impossible to breathe. This is the end for me. I thrash desperately, the surface growing further away, the light above dimming as the clouds darken. My vision blurs, the world fading into darkness. Lawrence, you traitor. My body grows weaker, and I feel myself slowly descend further and further. The last thing that I see is the surface far above, the first raindrops breaking through. Ending. Deception. So, that was very fast. Very fast credits. That was the bad ending for Javier. It was kind of obvious by the beginning of this video that Lawrence had something more going on. That he wasn't being very forthcoming. He was basically manipulating everyone. Oh, Theodore, could you shut the window upstairs? There's a storm approaching. Okay. I stare out into the dark clouds and think back to my trip to TAI. I always get these thoughts whenever there's a storm, don't I? But this time, it feels a lot heavier. A deep sigh escapes me. How long has it been now? Almost a year now? Part of me feels like it never happened at all with how surreal it was. But I know it happened. I still have the scars to show for it. I still think about Ro from time to time. Usually it's about how he gave me a chance to prove myself, or how down-to-earth and charming he was. But that always leads to dark thoughts. I ruined his life. Javier hates me. Everything went wrong. In the end, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but it was Lawrence that was there for me. Ironic too, but it is what it is. There's always been something bothering me about that night, though. Lawrence. That night, when he came to visit me, something just felt off. He was right about the riots and protesting. The news wouldn't stop talking about it for weeks, even here. But something just felt strange. But maybe that's because I felt so out of place in the first place. I don't know what this all meant, but like Lawrence said, it's probably best if I forgot all about it. I let out a sigh and shake my head, trying to hold back a tear. I guess you were right, Javier. I really still am just a kid. I have so much more to learn. Okay, there is the ending. So, again, that was Javier's bad ending. Lawrence is the bad guy. So he will be apparently the bad guy continuing for all the other routes, I'm assuming. Well, not routes, I mean the other endings. Again, I don't know if the next updates will be Javier's good route, or if it's gonna just be Ro's bad route, because it would make more sense to give both the bad routes and then eventually do the good routes. That way, we get more of the backstory that you need to know in order to figure out what's going on through like this, like finding out that Lawrence is the bad guy, than just giving you the good endings and then you just going like, whatever. There were still mysteries that were not solved, but who cares, you know? Let's face it, there are some people that are like that, that'll just skip, reading the bad stuff before getting to the good parts. And you people suck. Anyways, so yeah. What are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments. And I certainly wasn't expecting Lawrence to be the bad guy, but like yeah, you know, he kind of gave vibes, but yeah. It was very suspicious when he went to Javier's apartment and sort of where he ordered Javier to investigate something else, and then like he was purposefully leaving Javier alone. So yeah. Anyway, so write down in the comments what you think, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Rain Check yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link to the HIO page where you can download the game and play it yourself, or you can just go to HIO and download it there. And I will also be posting down a link for their Patreon in case you want early access to builds of Rain Check, or you just want to, in general, support the project. So again, all those pertinent links will be down in the description, and I guess that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.